Hello everyone, Ninja Nick back with another round of the Pokemon Trading Card Game World Championships. We've got an Arceus deck with a Fighting Energy against LostBox of some sort. Looks like a Jet Energy is in there, so more than likely we will be seeing a Giratina V-Star deck. Looks like we're just gonna swap. I mean, that's not a big deal if the cards are upside down. You should still be able to recognize what they are. 3 Psychic Energies is really scary for Giratina because you usually only play 3 to 4? I think probably 4. I like a 4-4 split of the basic energies myself, at minimum. Even in the Arceus deck. So the Arceus is probably going to be Arcdura. If I would have to guess, if it has Fighting Energy in it, would make the most sense. So Su Chia Sing versus Akihiro Urata. I probably said those names very poorly, and I do apologize. So we are going first as the Arceus player. That's always what you want to see. Getting the V-Guard energy down could matter because Akihiro could always get to 7 in the Lost Zone and just attack with Shred turn 1. That could limit that damage output just a little bit. Turn it into a 3-shot on an Arceus V-Star, but just a pass from there. I mean, just attaching an energy to an Arceus V is all you really need to do turn 1 as an Arceus player. So that is perfectly fine. I actually think this is the first Arceus deck we've seen between rounds 1 and days 1 and 2 of the World Championships. I think. I might be wrong, but I'm not remembering any off the top of my head already. There might have been one. But not a lot. I mean, we're in round 4 of day 2 now. To not see that many Arceus decks, it really goes to show that Arceus is not in a very favorable position right now, as far as the meta is concerned. Arceus is a little bit too slow of a deck, and there are a lot of decks that just hit really hard, really fast. So we're going to battle VIP Pass after using the concealed cards here from the Greninja. Grabbing a couple of Comfeys. As always, you want to have double Comfey and a Radiant Greninja in play on your first turn as a LostBox deck. And we're likely going to see maybe a Jet Energy attached to a Comfey would be pretty cool here to force it into the active spot. Would not be too bad. We really need to see a Colress's Experiment as well. We need to race to 10 in the Lost Zone as fast as possible. You could always use the V-Star power of the Giratina V-Star in order to be able to get around V-Guard energy. So we're gonna Lost Zone a Super Rod here. He's just trying to ask exactly where his Lost Zone should be. So yeah, if you're on stream, I think you should put your Lost Zone like in the crook of this. Like, see how there's this little corner here on the circle? You could put your Lost Zone there, and then you keep your deck and discard pile just to the right of this line for where your bench is. And then you make sure that it's on camera, because they do have lines for where your deck and discard are supposed to go, but they're not in frame. I don't know why they're not in frame right now. Yeah, they're off camera. They zoomed in a little bit too much for this tournament for some reason. So, looks like we are able to get to 4 in the Lost Zone turn 1 to attack with the Cramorant. That is probably the best thing that you could have done here. I do see a lot of Giratina decks actually just Jet Energy their Giratina to Abyss Seeking on their like first turn, second turn. And it advances your Lost Zone, but it's just such a bad feeling to go for that instead. Looks like we are playing Box of Disasters in the deck, probably as a counter to Gardevoir, I would assume. That would make a lot of sense. Gonna get rid of the Choice Belt here as well. The Choice Belt should not matter in this matchup at all. Looks like they're playing one of those new stadiums from the new set. They don't even really do anything too relevant, I don't believe. I did buy a playset of each. Oh, it's Aggron! Oh, it's Arceus, Duraludon, Aggron, because they both play metal energies. Okay. So the Box of Disasters actually powers up Aggron's attack. So I have to bring this up now because people don't remember Aggron. I played against it last season, and it was, or no, early this season. It was really annoying. I should have made day 2, and then I didn't because I hit Aggron and got absolutely luck sacked when I had the game 1. And then I hit Palkia the next round. I was playing Arceus Flying Pikachu as well. And I got obliterated by Palkia, and I was mad. I just bricked. But yeah, Aggron V. So, oh, Path to Peak is in play as well. That's stopping Starbirth from happening as well. And we are going to go for an Iono here. Yeah, so I'll bring up the TCG player page for you guys. It does 150 plus another 150 if there's any damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon. The first attack also does 90 and 30 to 2 bench Pokemon, which is pretty relevant as well. It's just really good. It's just really good. But it takes 5 energies to do that second attack. So you have to do a full Arceus Trinity Nova to it and then attach a double turbo for turn in order to get it fully powered up. So, but it does allow you to one-shot VMAXs, basically. So, especially with the Box of Disasters in there as well. It's also a metal Pokemon, so you could always hit Gardevoir EX for weakness, not even needing damage counters on them necessarily. But you could do the first attack, 90 would be 180 after weakness, and then put 30 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it's very interesting to see that there. Oh, of course, now they put it on screen behind me. Looks like we are just going to load up a second Arceus, though, with Fighting and Darkness Energy. Is there Umbreon VMAX in here as well that I'm not aware of? What would you be playing the Darkness Energy for? Definitely not the Drapion. Drapion needs colorless energy. But we just go and we do a big hit, take a prize card with that Arceus V-Star, and now we're going to go straight into a Colress's Experiment here from Akihiro. Getting 3 cards into the hand, one of which is a Pokegear, which might be able to find him a Colress's Experiment on the next turn. Flower Select as well. Looks like we don't really have too much to do here. Looks like we must have 7 cards in the 5, 6, 7. Yes, we have 7 cards in the Lost Zone. The Lost Zone counter on the screen is incorrect. So we are going to be able to start accelerating some energies into play here, powering up this Giratina. We could actually see the Giratina just attack with the Shred this turn. Would not be too bad. 160 goes through any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So actually, the Shred goes through V-Guard. I forgot about that. Yeah, so even if you had, like, say, a special energy on Giratina, it would still, like the Jet energy, it would still go through Skyscraper even. Of course, you don't really want to attack, you don't want to attack a Duraludon with the basic Giratina. That seems really bad. But we are going to get a Psychic Energy on it and switch cart into our Giratina V-Star, and we're going to take the knockout with the 280. That does not feel very good whatsoever. Lost Zone's the Grass Energy along with the Water Energy. That's definitely correct because of how many Psychic Energies are in your prize cards, but of course you pull both of those off the prize cards, so maybe you should have Lost Zoned the Psychic Energy and just hope that you drew into it. But now we are at 9 cards in the Lost Zone. 1 Flower Selecting will allow us to attack with the star power, V-Star power of the Giratina, the, what's it called? Star Requiem. And it should also play around the Box of Disasters as well, because you're just knocking the opponent out. You're not actually damaging them. It's the effect of the attack that's knocking you out. Yeah, that's Calamitous Wasteland. I believe it has something to do with fighting Pokemon, I want to say. Let me look at this up. Calamitous Wasteland, if my TCG player will load. I just use TCG player to look up all my cards all the time. They have the best scans, in all honesty. Well, the Pokemon website scans look really good, but I can't use them for my YouTube thumbnails because they're too tiny. I use what's it called? Is it called like PKMN card? Has a lot of good scans. Yeah, this is straight up not loading. But we just go for a Trinity Nova here into the Giratina V-Star to do 200 damage. And yeah, now as long as Akihiro can find a grass energy, he can just Star Requiem for another 2 prizes. He would also have to find a way to switch in and out of the Comfey as well, though. So, because he does need 1 more card in the Lost Zone. The retreat cost of each basic non-fighting Pokemon in play is 1 more. So is that like a LostBox counter? Gardevoir counter? I don't know. I don't think that helps at all against Gardevoir. They can just accelerate another energy. I'm not going to be surprised if my friend Alan is playing this deck the next time I see him at a tournament. He loves his Arceus decks. So it looks like we are going to retreat to the Giratina instead using a water energy that we were able to Mirage Gate on. And now we are going to go for flower selecting. So we just need a grass energy on this other Giratina and then the evolution to be able to get there. We do have another Mirage Gate, but do we have a way to switch? We still don't. So there's 4 cards in hand for Sue, so I think you just like pass and hope your opponent can't do much of anything. It looks like we are going to go for the Mirage Gate now. They've got a hollow Mirage Gate. It's like Shatterfoil too. This is very interesting to see. Now, a really cool thing that Sue could do here is he could actually boss up the Giratina with the damage on it, and then use Rock Slide to do 90 to it, knocking it out, and then putting 30 damage to 2 bench Pokemon, setting up that Giratina V-Star to be able to be one-shot on the next turn, as long as the Aggron somehow doesn't get knocked out, I guess, but I think it definitely would get knocked out. So what do you do here? I would say the best course of action would probably be find a boss's orders, which he already has in hand, and then hit into the other Giratina that doesn't have the damage on it but has all the energy, and just use Trinity Nova, benching another Pokemon, and then accelerating to the new bench Pokemon as well as the... Yes, Akihiro has to read it. Looks like we're going to Ultra Ball for the Bibarel instead. I mean, that's not bad. Oh, the Aggron VMAX is a thing as well. You could evolve into it and just do 270 with the 5 energy. Does 30 damage to itself. You also do 150 and discard the top card of your opponent's deck for 3 energy. So here comes the Calamitous Wasteland. These Comfeys now have 2 retreat costs. We're going to boss up that Giratina on the bench and then draw 5. We find Nest Ball to be able to potentially set up another attacker. We even have a double colorless energy we could attach to the Aggron as well if we wanted to. If we have another Aggron in deck, we could bench that with the Nest Ball and accelerate to it. But it looks like we're going to go for the Radiant Alakazam instead. Try to set up some nicer damage numbers, and I think this is the first Arceus deck where I actually understand the use of the Alakazam, because it really does matter for the Aggron's damage output. Yeah, so we're going to attach a double turbo for turn here. Oh, we could use the ability of the Alakazam to move 2 damage counters from, or 1 damage counter from the bench to the active retreat into the Aggron and take the knockout with the second attack, doing 150 plus 150 if your opponent has damage counters on it, is 300, minus 20 because of the double turbo energy is 280, and then plus 10 for the damage that's already on is 290. So and has a box of disasters on it in case it goes down. If the other Giratina comes up and knocks it out, it will take 8 damage counters, knocking itself out. Beautifully played by Sue here. This is absolutely amazing of a play, and I love Arceus Aggron. It is not at all a good deck. Somebody did play it in the Open at the last World Championships. Or actually, he played it in the last World Championships and then in the Open as well, because he did not advance past day 1, I don't believe. Is that correct? I don't remember. I know he definitely played it in the Open, and I think won or got top 4 or something like that. It was something crazy like that, and that's what put this deck on the map. But we have not seen really anything from it since then. But definitely gaining a lot of power here from this Radiant Alakazam. We do see Akihiro is going for the Roxanne. Not too many cards left in deck, it looks like. Both players are going to draw a fresh hand. 1 for, was it 2 for Sue? And then, right? 2. He draws 2 off the Roxanne. And then Akihiro draws 6. And it looks like just a pass. Oh, man. Going to put down another Bidoof. We're going to draw until we have 3 with the Bibarel. So the Roxanne doesn't really matter too much. We do get a switch. We are going to put 1 damage counter to the other Giratina that's on the bench. And now we can actually choose to use the first attack. Would knock out the Comfey exactly because we're doing 90 minus 20 is 70. And then we could put damage counters onto the bench as well. You could put 3 damage counters to the Spiritomb. And 3 damage counters to, I don't even know what matters at this point. The other Comfey. And yeah, it looks like we're just gonna boss up the Giratina, the fresh one that had 1 damage counter put onto it, and knock that out, and that will be the game. Sue very commandingly taking that game very easily there. Both of these players 2-0-1 in this round 4 match, so a little interesting. They chose not to put any 3-0s on. Usually they put undefeateds on until the win-in rounds. But I guess at the World Championships, if you have an Arceus Aggron deck and it's close enough to the record you would normally stream, you might as well put it on. I think that that's a really cool deck to put on stream because it's very fun to watch at the very least. And it's already up a game. Oh, and we of course start the game. Oh no, I thought we were starting the game. That's the replay. My monitors overlap a little bit, and it covered the Y on it covers the Y on replay. So like it just like completely was not in my line of sight at all for some reason. 3 supporters in there for Sue, and a 1/1 Arceus or a 1/1 Giratina line from Akihiro, as well as a Chorus is not very good there either. Yeah, 2 research is really scary to have for an Arceus deck in your prize cards, because you normally need that to be able to start setting up your game plans, to be able to even draw into your Pokemon, into your Bibarel parts, to even get to a position to where you can play out of a Roxanne or an Ino. So Akihiro is going to start this Sableye here, and it would be really nice to see if we have a double turbo in hand for Sue, as well as maybe a nest ball to just search for another Arceus or the Aggron now. So we're going to nest ball here for the Greninja. We probably have an energy in hand that we can discard to use the concealed cards. Yep, we do. Looks like a couple, actually. Probably discard the water energy. Gonna draw 2 cards. Looks like a 1/1 Giratina line. Okay. What do you do from here? I guess just bench it. You don't need to bench the mana fee. We've got 2 Giratinas in hand. You could just attach a grass energy for turn and pass. Does not feel very good. You have a psychic energy to be able to use concealed cards on the next turn. Yeah, it's a pretty pitiful start for Akihiro. It's very unfortunate. Not even having a Chorus's Experiment in hand for the next turn. And we do have the double turbo. And do we have a way to use Trinity Nova onto another Pokemon? It looks like no. We have no outs to basic Pokemon for our bench. So we are just going to use the Trinity Nova to check our prize cards and get maybe 1 energy on ourselves. Oh, see, I thought those were darkness energy, but it looks like they're just maybe hollow metal energies. Yeah, so he's probably just playing maybe 2 or 3 fighting energies, and then the rest are all metal. Would make a lot of sense. Yeah, there's definitely no room in this deck for something like Umbreon in it. Although, in my opinion, I think that if you just replace the Duraludon with Umbreon and turns those fighting energies into darkness energies, I think the deck would actually work a lot better. Because then you can move your damage counters with the Alakazam and then use the Umbreon to bring something up. And you can use Rock Slide repeatedly, maybe early in the game, to spread damage counters to your opponent's Kirlias in the Gardevoir matchup. Would feel really cool. I definitely feel like an Arceus deck needs Umbreon in order to have any chance against Gardevoir. So it looks like we are... Is this Chorus's Experiment, or are we doing a bit? Oh no, we're Abyss Seeking. Yeah, anytime a Giratina deck uses Abyss Seeking, you know it's a rough time for them. So yeah, just retreated into the Giratina to use Abyss Seeking, getting 2 cards in the Lost Zone. So both of these players breaking a little bit, but Sue having the much better start because he does have the Arceus V-Star. Looks like we're going to go for an Iono. Again, this is one of those situations, I mentioned it in a previous round, where there are times where you don't want to disrupt your opponent's hand because it is going to make theirs better. But if it also makes yours better, it's worth doing. Because you can't play with a dead hand just because you know your opponent also has one, because they could always top deck something anyway. So might as well Iono yourself. Give yourself the best odds of finding like more basic Pokemon and things like that without having to use the Starbirth just yet. You could still use the Starbirth if you need to. It wouldn't be that bad, but giving your opponent more cards in hand, especially since they just used Abyss Seeking, they found another couple of cards in hand that could have been Chorus's Experiment or something along those lines. Switching cards to be able to use maybe Comfeys, if you... Maybe even Comfeys. It looks like we did Lost Zone 1 Comfey, so... So just with how bad your opponent's start has been, even though you Iono'd them to a fresh 6-card hand, I don't think there's much they could draw to like capitalize on the situation that they're in right now. So yep, we do go for the Arceus V on the bench with a Nest Ball, I believe it looked like. Would like to see a Bidoof come down as well, wouldn't be too bad. We have a Research in hand as well for next turn, if we need to do that. Ooh, looks like we're gonna grab an Ultra Ball off the Starbirth, probably for next turn to find the Bibarel. Would make a lot of sense. Just hold on to it for now. And then we're gonna go for the Trinity Nova, just setting up this Arceus on the bench. Not even going to worry about trying to set up the Aggron yet. Usually these Arceus decks want to go Arceus, and then whatever their tech attacker is. Most of the time. They always want to get at least 2 Trinity Novas off is the thing. So if Akihiro is able to get a Chorus's Experiment and some Comfeys into play, we might actually see a Mirage Gate Lost Impact. So going for the second Arceus here on the bench does make quite a lot of sense, in my opinion. I also think maybe he's only playing a 1-1 Duraludon VMAX line, it seems. So maybe a 2-1 Aggron would make sense to me as well. So you could always potentially cut the Bibarel and go for like the Adventurer's Discovery type package to try to set up if you wanted to do the... Oh, okay. I think I remember what happens here. I think that there was something that Sue did in game 1 that gets him some sort of penalty? Or I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of a different match. But it looks like they're going to shuffle his deck instead. From the Trinity Nova. Maybe he got a warning for insufficient shuffling, but... I mean, I guess they didn't zoom in on the deck well enough, so I wasn't able to determine that. Or either I wasn't... Maybe I wasn't paying attention, I don't know. Yeah, that's probably just like a warning for insufficient shuffling, and then they did a judge shuffle. So Akihiro is trying to decide which 3 cards he wants to keep off of his Chorus's Experiment that he was able to get Ionode into. And now he has a nice sizable hand of maybe 10-ish cards. We are going to go for the Escape Rope. That will force one of Sue's benched Pokemon into the active spot. Looks like we are going to choose the other Arceus. We would rather not sacrifice Bibarel here in this position. And we switch into the other Giratina. Are we going to go for another Abyss Seeking? Is the hand still that bad that you have to Abyss Seeking? I think just putting the Comfey up, using Flower Selecting, and passing is better than using Abyss Seeking. Yep, we're gonna go for the Abyss Seeking. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the game plan is here from the Giratina player. But you can't scoop at this point just because you are already down 1 game. So, normally I would say in a match like this, you scoop to save time for the next game, but there will be no next game if you do scoop. So you're forced into this position. You're forced to have to try to win this game, even though all hope seems lost here. Looks like we do Ultra Ball here. We will be able to find maybe either the Bibarel, or maybe we want to go for the Radiant Alakazam instead. Let's see. If we hit for 200 on the active and we use Radiant Alakazam, we could actually knock it out this turn. So yeah, you could move 2 damage counters from the bench to the active. But it looks like we're going to go for the Arceus V-Star instead. Oh yeah, because we need Arceus V-Star still. So if we have Arceus V-Star and the Radiant Alakazam, we will be able to take the knockout on the active this turn. But again, you have to find that Radiant Alakazam. You've already used your Starbirth on the last turn. But it looks like you have a Professor's Research, so we might actually get there. Only needs a Nest Ball or an Ultra Ball or just the Radiant Alakazam itself to get there. And Sue will be in a very, very commanding lead at that point. So drawing 7 cards for the research. What do we get here? We get the Radiant Alakazam off of, I guess, what was the first card. But we get the Choice Belt instead. So now we don't need to use the Radiant Alakazam for the knockout here. I think you still bench the Alakazam just in case your opponent does, like, Iono you, I guess. If they even play Iono. Yeah, I think there's no reason not to bench the Alakazam. So gonna move 2 damage counters from the Giratina to the Greninja for some reason. I think that I would rather go after the Comfey. I think in the Giratina versions, they usually don't play too many switch carts, if any at all. So you could potentially over enough turns, or by using the 90 attack Rock Slide on the Aggron, you could potentially just take the game that way. We're gonna take, looks like a Research, and was that a Bidoof? We also have the Calamitous Wasteland in play as well. I do really like that somebody is playing that because I saw a lot of potential value in that card when I first read it. Putting a retreat cost up by 1 is always a good play. It always makes a card good. I know some people are even trying to think about playing Leafeon VMAX in Arceus now to try to hard counter Charizard because it's so good. Guys, Charizard's not good. Trust me. It's a stage 2 attacker. It doesn't have refinement on the Charmeleon. Like, that's the only reason Gardevoir's good, is because it can draw so many cards a turn. Maybe in a future format it'll be good. But not until LostBox and Mew rotate out at the very least. I don't even think Charizard's a good Mew counter. Yeah, it hits them for weakness, but they just Melodious Echo for a big number and you lose. So we're going for the Mirage Gate now. We're going to start setting up our Giratina to be able to do some lost impacts here. Unfortunately, it is already highly damaged, so it's going to be a little rough trying to set that up. We would like to see maybe another Giratina V get put onto the bench this turn, but we're already down 1. And, yeah, no, I don't know what he's doing there with the damage counters. He knocked the die on the left off, and then put it back on correct, and then put the one on the right back from 4 to 6, even though it was at 4, and didn't get moved because the Alakazam moved it to the Greninja. Putting 2 more cards in the Lost Zone with it looks like a Chorus, or maybe it was just one from the Comfey. Either that or the Chorus. It's hard to tell when it's not on camera like this. We're going to go for the concealed cards. Getting rid of the water energy makes a lot of sense. Is only good on the Greninja. Or as the colorless on the Giratina, I suppose. We do find our last Giratina, and we find a Cramorant. I don't know if Cramorant's going to be doing too much at this point in the game, though. It's really mostly good as your first or second turn attacker. And yeah, it looks like we are trying to retreat, but we do not have the energy to retreat because of the stadium. So we play the Path to the Peak down to turn off the abilities of all rule box Pokemon. That's the phrase I was looking for. And put that Comfey's retreat cost back at 1. And now we are going to hit for 110. And I don't know, I feel like you really needed to Lost Impact this turn. But I guess if you did that, I don't know. Yeah, it feels really rough. And we're not doing anything. Is this the game where the judge ruling came in? Yeah, if there was a prize penalty, those prizes on the top of the screen would turn red to say that you have to take that many less prizes. I'm a little peeved that I don't get to play the music because I have to listen to this. I am going to turn it off for you guys, though. You don't need to listen to this crap. Okay, so until I hear what's going on, I'll keep you updated, but I think it was still Sue's turn. He drew a card per turn. And it looks like Akihiro is shuffling his deck. Playing with something on the left-hand side of the screen. Yeah, I don't really know. Oh, they're both shuffling their deck. He's playing Judge. Okay. That's what happens when I try to pay attention to something else. So we are going to judge. Both players are going to draw a new hand of 4. We are going to nest ball. There is 1 bench space remaining for Sue, so we will be able to find another basic Pokemon. And I'm still really interested to... Like, you would think that they would know what the penalty is right now. Like, what happened? Like, what happened in Game 1? And they won't even say, like, oh, somebody drew an extra card in Game 1, so we gave them, like, a prize penalty for this game or something.
Point where Sue drew too many cards off of an Iono. They are looking a retroactive double prize loss penalty may be applied for Game 1. We are looking to see, I've just kind of asked for clarification if that would do anything. Do you remember what the prize count was in Game 1, David? How close the game was?
It wasn't very close.
No, so I think that would essentially...
So I think they're... Okay, so it sounds like they're retroactively applying a 2 prize penalty to the previous game because Sue drew an extra card off of Iono.
Clear, but we are going on. Sue is still there as, you know, 1 game to 0.
But if you apply the 2 prize penalty to that game, it could influence who won Game 1.
As soon as we got perfect clarity, we will let you know. Yes. But anyway, we're not in Game 1 anymore.
So, so we just see Sue is going for, what, a knockout here on the active Cramorant, taking the knockout, putting some more energy potentially in play, or at the very least shuffling the deck. So we can go on to Akahiro's turn. We're going to play a Nest Ball here. So, I mean, yeah, it would be important to know what the prize count was in the previous game if they're going to give a prize penalty on the previous game. So I gotta go back to the previous game. So a 2 prize penalty would put Akihiro at 2 remaining to take, So back to where we were. So we Nest Ball for this Comfey here. Gotta turn my music back down on my headphones because I can't hear a single word. They play the volume too low out of the official streams, so I have to turn my volume super high up so I can hear it. Oh, and I still have the desktop audio muted. I apologize. So there's the music back. So we're going to use our flower selecting to get another card in the Lost Zone, and we find a Chorus's Experiment, so we're going to be able to use that to find another 3 cards for our hand. We do get to the Giratina V-Star. We do have the ability to Star Requiem this turn, but I don't know if you want to Star Requiem a Pokemon that already has 110 on it. And yeah, we do the Lost Impact. After attaching a Jet Energy to force our Pokemon active, we're able to take the first 2 prize cards, but I don't know if that really... Well, I guess since your opponent has chosen to go full on Arceus, this last Arceus that's currently on the bench should have been an Aggron, in my opinion, if he was able to get the Aggron out. Because then he could use as long as he can replace the Stadium here, he uses the ability of Radiant Alakazam to move 1 damage counter to the active. And then he just, like, attaches Double Turbo and just one-shots it. But we are not in that position this game. So I don't know if... I don't think he prized the Aggron, so I'm not sure why he didn't set it up this time. Maybe is he out of too many Double Turbos somehow? I don't think he's really discarded much of any of those. But yeah, taking, like, now you have to 2-shot this active Pokemon. Looks like we are instead going for a Boss's Orders knockout on that benched Giratina that had all the damage counters on it. And now you are one prize away from winning the game. That is one more boss's orders. And that is kind of why I was saying that maybe we should have targeted down a Comfey with the Radiant Alakazam. Oh, this is... the volume on this is still on, too. I'm just all over the place today. I can't even hear them. Yeah, so now we just need, like, one more boss's orders. If we were able to, like, replace the stadium, we could use the ability of Alakazam over a couple of turns to knock out a Comfey, along with even the Aggron being able to snipe 30 to the bench. So I think that that would have been better instead of on... I think it would have been better on the Comfey instead of on the Greninja. Of course, you're opening that up to being healed by a switch cart. But again, this is the Giratina deck, not just a regular Lost Zone deck, so it plays less switch carts than 4, usually only like 1, and it plays like 2 regular switch. Because the it doesn't work with the Giratina in the active. So it looks like about 9 minutes left in the match. We are going to play an Ino, putting Sue's hand to 1 card remaining. And even still at worst, Sue could... I don't know. This is actually a bad position for Sue. Sue only needs 1 more prize card in order to win the game. But Akihiro can Star Requiem this turn and then Lost Impact next turn in order to win the game. And Sue doesn't really have any way to... Sue doesn't really have any way to respond to this active Giratina right now. Yep, uses the V-Star power and draws into the boss's orders off the Ino. Or the Roxanne or whatever. Yeah, it was the Ino, right? And yeah, just is able to take that game. So Sue able to take this match 2-0 with the Aggron deck going to 3-0-1. And I want to see how he finished, and I want to see this list. I am very curious. And I'm sure my friend Alan would have found the deck list already by now. That's just how he is with Arceus decks. But as always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And we will see you guys next time for round 5? Yeah, I believe it's round 5. I spoke too soon. So they are retroactively giving Sue a game loss for game 1. It looks like. So instead of the 2 prize penalty, so they're changing their mind about the ruling after the conclusion of game 2 and forcing them to play a game 3. I guess maybe because it wasn't caught in time, but that's what those table judges are there for, is to catch that stuff. To confirm that the right amount of cards are being drawn and all of that type of stuff. They're supposed to be sitting there and watching the game so that no illegal actions take place. So now it looks like they would have to play a game 3 here. And are they even going to have enough time for it? I don't think so. So we are going to skip ahead, see if we can get right into that. And yeah, they have 16 minutes left, so they might actually be able to play a game 3 here. So yeah, I think that this is probably the worst call of the tournament. I don't think that you can retroactively give somebody a game loss after you already confirmed that it's a win. Like, if you want to give him a game loss for the next round going into it, because this game is already completed by the time you came to a decision to give him a game loss instead of a double prize penalty. So this match has already concluded, in my opinion, and you could still give him the retroactive game loss, but you do it for the next round because this game is already over. It's been concluded. But the only thing that hasn't happened yet is the signing of the match slip. So I guess Sue didn't sign the match slip fast enough, so the judges can just do whatever they want to the tournament. Just invalidate the sanctity of the whole thing. And now this gives... Why am I not in my music playlist anymore? Okay. I never understand what this thing does. It, like, played the next song and then wasn't in the playlist anymore, so there was no next song. I know I did not go through the entire playlist already. There's 187 songs there. I know I've been recording for hours now, but my voice is getting a little raspy. I got my big jug of water here. So yeah, Akihiro starts because he did lose the previous game. But like... But giving him a game loss for game 1 means that he should have had the choice on whether or not to go first or second in game 2. So yeah, you can't do that. So if the game isn't technically finished, right? He won game 1 and game 2. You could give him a game loss for game 3, but the match is still his to win. Or you could just apply it to the next round, give him a game 1 loss, and then he's allowed to choose whether he goes first or second. So yeah, I think this was a horrible call. Like, obviously, Sue should be penalized for drawing that extra card if it's been confirmed and viewed on the recording. But why do that after he's already won the match and make him play a game 3 with 16 minutes left on the clock? It's nonsensical. So now Akihiro's looking like he's getting an actual good start for once. He's able to battle VIP pass, use a couple of Comfeys. I don't even know if he's used more than like a couple of Comfeys in the past game. Yeah, game 1, he really didn't get much of any of that. Already getting 2 cards in the Lost Zone. Turn 1 is usually what you see with LostBox going first. And now Sue is looking at not that great of a hand. He's gonna Ultra Ball here. That's a really cool promo, Ultra Ball, actually. I've never seen that before. Gonna Ultra Ball away an Energy and a Boss's Orders. And you can see just by the way he's playing this, like he seems very disappointed. He's very upset that he lost that game retroactively. I would be too. I would be so tilted that I probably wouldn't even play game 3 correctly. I would, if I were Sue, I would be submitting a support ticket for that. I know that's a joke that everybody always says, submit a support ticket. Those things never do anything. Actually, no, they do. Because a guy I know was short 1 CP in the previous season. And then he submitted a support ticket saying that he actually won that challenge instead of getting, like, top 4. So that it could put him at the CP he needed to be playing in the 2022 Pokemon Trading Card Game World Championships. And Pokemon actually took the rights, the ability for that location to be able to do league challenges and cups. It took their official Pokemon trading card game store status away from them because they believed that kid. But they didn't fix that kid's record to let him play in the World Championships. They only fixed it like this year. Like, it took them that long to like review the support ticket. So yeah, now there's a store that can't run tournaments just because some guy was petty that he didn't get the one last CP that he needed to get into the World Championships. And that's one less tournament where anybody can get CP at now. So we are going to escape rope into the Arceus and hit it with the Cram. So this is a really great start for Akihiro now. Sue did get the turn 1 attached to the Arceus, which is what you need. Gets a Collapse Stadium, is able to evolve, so now he can Starbirth for a double turbo. So he's not in the worst position ever, but still not the best because he did take first damage here. And Akihiro does have 6 cards in the Lost Zone. So he's really going to have to do exactly what he did in that game 1 that he lost. And set up that Aggron as fast as possible with the Radiant Alakazam and just start spreading damage counters and doing things. So, yeah, I would like to see the, God. But the thing is if the Aggron comes down now, the Arceus gets knocked out next turn, then the Aggron comes up, knocks out Giratina, and then gets knocked out itself, and then you have no Pokemon left. So you have to go double Arceus here. So you're going to have to take at least 2 prizes with Arceus V-Star here. And it looks like we went for double Turbo Research as our 2 cards off of the Starbirth. And yeah, maybe we can find our way to the Aggron as well as another Arceus. Put maybe 1 energy onto the Arceus and then 2 energies onto the Aggron. Then you can attach a double turbo for turn on the next turn. Looks like we missed the Aggron, but that might be fine. You can attach the Box of Disasters to your active. Or no, you can't. Attach the Box of Disasters to your benched Arceus. So that then... Oh, God. Yeah, but you really wanted to be able to, like, boss up the Giratina V-Star this turn. I think maybe going for the Research was the wrong play, actually. Maybe you go for double turbo and boss, but then you didn't have another Pokemon to accelerate to, so that makes it really rough here. Sue was basically just, like, 1 card shy of being able to do a really stellar turn. Yeah, I think the thing that you definitely wanted to do was hit into the Giratina V-Star. Because that damage is going to matter so much more than knocking out a Cramorant and taking a single prize card. Because now Akihiro will be able to use this Comfey to Flower Select and get the 7th card in the Lost Zone. Yeah, and at this rate, Akihiro is going to win this game. A match that he did not earn because he did not win best of 3. He won 1 game out of 3 and just gets to walk away with it. And see, this isn't something that would have been caught if they weren't on stream either. So if Sue just played the same matchup, he would have just 2-0'd Akihiro, and then he wouldn't have any penalty. So, like, at least do the correct penalty, give him the game loss in the next round, because this round is already over. Let him have his 1 win, and then he has to win 2-0 in the next round. Like, the stream even already declared Sue the winner. It zoomed in on him and put his name down on the bottom and everything. I know a lot of people in VGC are getting upset that Pokemon finally has the technology to do like really good hack checks. So they know that you're cheating and penalize that you're cheating now in VGC. And I feel like this is even more upsetting than the people who are upset that they're not allowed to cheat in VGC anymore. So we go for a Lost Impact to finish off this Arceus. And we have 2 Giratina V-Stars in play, both that are completely undamaged, and now this Arceus is going to have to pull so much effort here out of the game. And I don't even know, like, what it can do at this point. Akihiro still has the ability to Star Requiem on his next turn. As long as he's able to get 1 card in the Lost Zone, that all it takes is a Chorus's Experiment or just like or maybe a Jet Energy could put that Comfey in the active spot to use Flower Selecting yet again. We would still need a Grass Energy on our active, but we do have the Mirage Gate in hand, it looked like. Path to the Peak is in play as well, so that Collapse Stadium is gone. That is good that they were able to catch that. Yeah, I think if I were Sue, I would have appealed to the head judge and said, yeah, if that's true, why don't I just get the penalty for the next round? Because this round is already over. And then they'd say something stupid like, well, we caught it before the match slip was signed, so we can do whatever we want. I got DQ'd from a League Cup or something like that. They didn't bring out the match slip yet, and me and my opponent were the only, like, 0-4s or something in the tournament. We decided to ID, and then my friend was like, hey, let's switch decks for fun. So we were playing each other's decks there at the table, but and then we got DQ'd for violating the sanctity of the game by switching decks. But we had ID'd, they just didn't bring us the match slip yet. So since the match slip was not signed with a tie, they didn't give a shit, and that's why I don't play cups in New Jersey anymore. So we're going to nest ball for the Aggron here. So this is what we need in order to have a chance to win the game. I think that if we can get a really key Ino off against Akihiro, we can still finish this match out. So we can hit in with the Arceus this turn into the active, then use the... And then on the next turn, use the Alakazam to move 2 damage counters to the bench Giratina, Ino our opponent, and then... And no, we just have a Bidoof active. Okay. So Akihiro just needs a boss's orders now to effectively checkmate the game. There's no way that Sue can get any extra damage in play because I don't think he has the Hawlucha, which would be really good in this deck, actually. The Hawlucha with the Alakazam would make sense to combo with the... Yeah, to combo with the Aggron. I remember the list for the this deck previously, the Arceus Aggron. I used to play like 2 Zigzagoon, and like you didn't have the bench space to ever put them down. But now you could play Hawlucha. And yeah, we just boss up, loss impact, and take the 8 damage counters. Yeah, so... definitely does not feel like the correct play, but it is, because, you know, the Aggron could technically respond and, like, knock you out, but it would need a double turbo and, like, 2 more basic energies in order to be able to attack. So you can't quite get there. Looks like the Ino is coming out, though, now. Yeah, if we were able to get the Arceus attack off, even if it was just with the Arceus V and not the Arceus V-Star... Well, no, you would have to do the Arceus V-Star to charge up the Aggron. So yeah, Sue just getting punished for having that suboptimal start, and Akihiro just getting the gas. Actually being able to use the Comphase multiple times this game. Actually seeing Chorus's experiments, getting 11 cards now in the Lost Zone. All he needs is 1 more Grass Energy. He can Star Requiem for the game on that Aggron on the bench. So Sue is going to have to try to feed this Bibarel yet again. Hope that Akihiro does not get another boss's orders. So that maybe he can attach a double turbo next turn, and then what? It looks like he could Cracking Stomp, but... Yeah, at any point, Star Requiem could just come out and close the game up. Oh, it looks like Akihiro accidentally discarded his own Path to the Peak. So the judges caught that on time, I suppose. Yeah, because the Alakazam could have been used this turn to move 2 damage from the active to the bench. And then the Aggron can hit 270, but again, you're still going to need at least another double turbo. And 1 more energy after that, so I guess your theory is you let the Bibarel go down, then you Raihan and attach double turbo for turn. Knock out the active, and then just hope that they don't have another Mirage Gate for the other Pokemon on the next turn. If you can replace the Path to the Peak, you can move 2 damage off the active to the bench, so that they're both within range of the Aggron being able to knock them out. But actually, you might be, if you have a double turbo, you might be short. Yeah, because you'll be doing 250, and that's 270. It looks like he just draws and passes. All right, this might be the opportunity that Sue needs here. Draws, finds a Psychic Energy. I think you can attach that to your benched Giratina. I don't think that does you any good on the active. You have a Super Rod as well. If you have any Grass Energies in the discard pile, you could Super Rod those back in. Looks like he's going to retreat into a Comfey and Flower Select. This is a very interesting choice that I would have not gone for. Finds a Manaphy off this Flower Selecting. Yeah, so this is going to force Sue to have a Boss's Orders and the replacement to the stadium. This is such a bad game now. And they are about to go into time. They only have 40 seconds left. So it's only going to be a couple more turns for both players. Akihiro definitely favored for this. Akihiro spending some time reading the Aggron here. Using the Super Rod to put some energies back into the deck. He doesn't have that Mirage Gate anymore because that was Iono'd out of the hand. Gonna go for an insufficient shuffle into a cut here. And then draw a Box of Disasters. We're gonna attach to the Bidoof. And we're gonna Hyper Fang for 10? Flip a coin. If tails, it does nothing. And they call time. So, since Akihiro has not drawn a card yet, Sue is turn 0. Flips tails, does 0 damage instead of 10, passes the turn. What was that play? No, you attach the double turbo to your Aggron, man. We're going to Jet Energy into the active, use second Flower Selecting this turn, see if we can find our way to something. Grabs Colress's Experiment. Akihiro has 2 turns to win this game, potentially. We could honestly even see a Star Requiem to knock out the Bidoof. My lord. And then a Boss's Orders on the next turn. Looks like there is a boss in hand. Do we have Mirage Gate, though? I don't think we do. Yeah, I think you're fine to just pass here, in all honesty. Yeah, so we are going to pass. We're going to draw another double turbo that we have, so we can retreat. This is turn 2, remember, so this is Sue's last turn of the game. And I think that if you want to do anything at all, you just pass. Looks like we are going to go for the Judge. I think that that is correct, since you just saw the Colress's Experiment. And this is so unfortunate. A game that you won is now a tie. And the thing is that it would have been a prize penalty had the judges caught it in time, but since the table judges didn't catch it, now it's a game loss for Sue. So what's the point of being on camera? Is that you just are more likely to get penalties. Like bigger penalties. We're going to Flower Select here. We're going to find the Mirage Gate, and then we could just retreat into our Giratina. Do we have the Boss's Orders in hand? There is a boss in deck. No, we don't have a Boss's Orders yet. This might be a tie just because Akihiro couldn't find the boss again after the Judge. So at least Sue will be able to come out with a tie, but it's so unfortunate that he won game 1, won game 2, and then pulled a tie out in game 3. So we're going to Flower Select one more time. Lost owning yet another Sableye. I don't think he should have been lost owning all these Sableyes, just because he could have had the potential to just attack with Sableye 2 turns in a row to take the game. I know that he got the Chorus's experiment off of the flower selecting last time, but... And yeah, that's the game. Akihiro cannot win on turn 3 of time, and it is a tie. So, game 1 and 2, both won by Sue. Game 3, not finished, and that makes it a tie somehow, because judges cannot pick up on what is happening in game, which is the whole point of them being... There's 2 judges, so one can watch one player, and one can watch the other player, right? Isn't that the point of having 2 table judges? I don't know. I'm upset, is all I can say about that. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. All that stuff. Pissed.